Hey y'all, what's up? Big Wooly here, and welcome back to another episode of our All the Mods 10 Let's Play. I was just sitting here on the front porch, looking out at my bees right there, trying to, get us a list together. And so I've got the reaction chamber, which we got briefly into at the tail end of the last episode. We'll talk about why automating that's going to be important, getting it up and running, why we needed the water, all of that stuff. We're also going to tackle a big topic. So bear with me. We're going to get into P2P tunnels, subnets, wireless AE2 on the network side of things, and we're going to automate our Energizing Orb. So without further ado, let's get into it. It is kind of nice, man. There's all kinds of decorative blocks in here, and we just put ourselves a bench out here on the porch, and you can just sit here and chill, and the bees pop out of their hives, they go back in their hives. It's nice. So we've got our handy dandy clipboard. We're gonna start off with the one that we didn't get to at the end of the last episode, the reaction chamber. It was over there in that infamous don't get distracted woolly barrel. Now, this is another AE2 block, and we are going to tie it in up here on top of the storage with some of this other automated AE2. Now, let's talk, while I'm trying to get my way up here, let's talk about why this one's cool. This one's cool because it is our gateway to the induction card. The induction card is a little ways away from us. We've got a whole other episode of some weird, quirky stuff in applied energistics that we need to go through to get into singularities so that we can make shattered singularities in the reaction chamber. And then we use the shattered singularities. That gets us into quantum computing cores, which is going to be awesome. But we also use this thing to get into the induction card via the energy circuit. That's right. We're going to be able to make processors that allow us to send power through applied energistics. Hallelujah. Why did this take so long? Why is it an add-on mod and not a part of the main mod? Ugh, where's the Tylenol? Anyways, it's going to be awesome because things that have the induction card upgrade, I don't need this ugly cable going to it anymore. We'll be able to send power through AE2 to the block. Or at least I hope, and I'm not excited for nothing. If I'm excited for nothing, y'all can cry with me. So, yeah, we've got some work ahead of us to get there, but that is a well worth it end goal of trying to get to that. We need a channel, so let's see how we're doing on channels here. 15 back there, only 6 of 8 right here, so we got a couple channels to play with. This thing's going to need power, so let's grab out some energy cable. Let's just pull a chunk of... Yeah, let's pull a chunk of power out on this same line we've been using, and then we're going to grab out some more flux cable here. Bring it on over, and then let's get our reaction chamber powered and in the world. So there it is. We're going to need a pattern provider for it. There are more than 9 patterns that it can use. So let's have it be an extended pattern provider. That way, just in case we need more, we've got it. And we're going to put it on this face after making it the flat version. Flat. There we go. Now we have our reaction chamber powered and hooked up to our AE2. Let's go ahead and put in the patterns that we could potentially craft right now, which is not that one. Actually, are there any we can craft right now, Wooly? Did you just do this for nothing? Aha. I remembered why we need it. It's pinned over here in our recipes. We needed this intro infused ingot, and the only way to make it right now for us is to throw it in the water, or we do it in the crystal assembler and only get 4 at a time, or we can do an entire stack of them at a time in the reaction chamber, which was why we went this way. We needed the water because it takes 500 millibuckets of water, and then the rest of this we should be able to craft out of our system. So let's make ourselves up the recipe we need to send in here. We want the reaction chamber recipe, and it's going to say, look at that, because we have water, it says it can send it. All of that goes in. pattern, presto, in there. Do we have intro? We do have one intro infused ingot. Let's tell it to make us a stack. You could tell it to make you one and it will still make a stack because that's the only recipe it has, but we're going to tell it to make a whole stack and see what happens. Never used this machine. There we go. Auto export, we need to turn that on. Sweet. So with auto export on, it's working. This can take acceleration cards. So let's get those in here. Speed this thing up. There we go. So that'll be even faster. And now we can make our intro infused ingots, which we need for making all sorts of things. The upgrade cards, the extended machine frames, the casing for our assembler. Ooh, that's coming. Those are really going to be game changing. Okay. So there's your reaction chamber. Any other recipe you get for in here, you just got to figure out how to get if it needs a fluid. So we've got to get lava into the system. I haven't figured that one out yet. I'll be taking a look at that. I'll go over it with you when I figure it out. But that covers our reaction chamber and the intro infused ingots that we needed to make inside of it. Now, the elephant in my basement in this room is this. This is the largest that it says you can make a cube. It says in the book that 7 by 7 by 7 is the max size of your ME controller cube. And each of these faces on here is capable of providing us with 32 of these channels to do things on. But trying to manage the spaghetti mess of cables off of here without them crossing and short-circuiting everything would just be a nightmare without P2P tunnels. P2P tunnels are how we're going to take a face of that and we're going to send those channels along our backbone to wherever we need it, however we need to get it there on our backbone. And when I say that, we're going to be able to just have some mainline cables running for stuff that's in the base. We're going to be able to use one of the next bullet items, wireless AE2, so wireless connectors, I do believe they're called. Did we bookmark that? I don't know if we did. Hold on. Wireless connectors. Yep, right there. And since it's not bookmarked, let's bookmark it. The wireless connector we're going to be able to use to take 32 channels and take it somewhere else in the same dimension, not cross-dimensionally, at the cost of power. And we're going to be able to connect those channels to our network without having to, run a cable all the way there. It's going to be great. So for starters, it's the usual. We need to get some patterns into our system. You're absolutely going to need a pattern for the P2P tunnel. Make sure that everything shows that it can craft it so that the system can make it for you. We're going to need memory cards. So memory cards are going to be our way that, if let's say we assign one of these P2Ps, but we don't really need all the channels where we take it to the first time, we can always put another P2P on the network, use our same memory card for those frequencies, and assign another P2P tunnel somewhere else, go over there, and use up the other half of those channels or ever how many we have left. So we want to keep up with them, and then in order to store those, you'll see how we'll do it in a minute, we're going to need a pattern for an item frame because that's how I store the memory cards. I put them on the endpoint with the channel copied to it, and then if I ever need to recreate it or whatever else, I have the memory card for that channel right there with it. You'll see that as we go through, but let's get a pattern made up for our item frames. Now we have our patterns. Let's toss these into our pattern provider. Oh boy, we are going to need another pattern provider for molecular assemblers very, very, very soon. That fills up quick, but that's why we're stepping into this episode. We need these channels. Now you're like, but Wooly, there's two of these. Observant, aren't we? Yep, there's two. The reason there's two is if we're using P2P tunnels on here, this ring is like our main network. But we want all these faces for P2P tunnels, even though we probably won't need them, but it looks cooler this way. And so what we're going to do is we're going to not connect this inner ring to this outer ring, and we are going to use this inner ring here to carry everything. It's going to have all of our like main stuff on it, and all this is going to be is this is just channels. These are only channels to us, and the back plane is all going to connect to various faces of this cube right here. And we're going to use the back plane to get everything out and where we need it to. And then all of the actual devices are going to be connected to this via P2P tunnels. You're like, Wooly, shut up and do something. I hear you. Okay, I'm sorry. My bad. It's just, I want to make sure you guys understand it. You know, if you don't understand it, then why are you watching me? I cannot be that entertaining. Let's just start with like 20 of these. Now, we're probably not going to use all of them, but I'll kind of like to set them up in groups, whether we use them all or not. So how I like to do it is I like to start by just trying to hide as many as I can. So we're going to put one there. We're going to put one there. And then we're going to put a piece of Fluix cable right here. Now, these are going to be able to run a total of 8. Stupid wandering traitor interrupting my episode. Can't you see I'm talking here? Where'd you go? Yeah, and don't you come back. Sorry about that. Let's put 8 devices out. So that's 5. And then 6, 7, 8. So we want to connect all of these without connecting to that. So we're going to need some anchors, like we covered in the last episode, to separate this off to keep the two from connecting. So we're going to put an anchor right there. And that really should be the only one. And now this little run of cable right here. And then now we're going to connect this up right here. And that is going to connect to our main network. The downside being, as you'll notice, the main ring is still dead. That is because we need to get power to the main ring somehow. Now, we can carefully, like if we do this, you're going to notice if I put this P2P tunnel back here and I put this cable here, it's going to go red. The reason it goes red is we have 2 separate ME controllers connected on the same frequency, but I want to get power through. So if I take a piece of quartz fiber instead of an anchor to separate these two right here in this corner, you're going to notice everything comes back to life. Quartz fiber allows the power that I'm getting to this with a ender gate underneath the bottom of one of these corners. It's down there, trust me. I'm powering this there, but this quartz fiber is going to prevent the networks from communicating, but it's going to allow us to sneak power in right here in the corner. And I mean, it looks really kind of not that different from a cable anchor. And unless you're looking for it and know that it's there, you won't know. But now we have our main ring lit up, and you'll notice this cable is carrying 8 channels. And the only thing that it has on it are 8 of these P2P tunnels. So that's all well and good, Wooly, but what are we going to do with it? Well, we're going to replace this one block right here in the center of our network with this 3x3. Everything that's currently connected to this block needs to get connected to this giant block. And then we're going to use this block to bring these tunnels out to connect to it. So that sounds confusing. And you're like, why did you make 100 Fluix cables? Well, I made 100 Fluix cables so that I could actually convert them into dents so that we can carry 32 channels out in the directions that we want to go. Let's make like, yeah, a ton of those. We're going to make up a bunch of the dense cable too, and we're going to bring 32 channels off of this face, and we're going to put an anchor right in here to separate it, to keep it from touching that. And we're going to bring it right off this bottom middle. Actually, let's go top middle. We're going to bring it off that face to carry it over. And so you know how, like, just in the last episode, we got pretty close here. We're at 26 channels on this little leg of our AE2 right here, coming off of that face, and it covers mostly just our hostile neural networks and a couple of temporary setups on the other side. So it's real easy to fill one of these up in a hurry. So let's come out here, and we're going to bring this network out. And so it's almost over here to the hostile neural networks area. But what we're going to do is we're going to go scrap that controller, and I'm going to bring a piece of dense cable from right here down, and I am going to put a P2P tunnel facing that dense cable. And then I'm going to connect it up. So let's get this going. So we're going to just float ourselves a piece of dense cable for the network. Let's go right up here. We're going to go right above. And then now I can take a P2P tunnel and I can put it facing that dense cable. And then all I need to do here is we don't need dense to connect this up. We need regular Fluix. Smart cable. And we're going to bring this up to connect to the back side of that P2P tunnel. That is going to use one single channel to bring this tunnel online. And now if we make a memory card and we go over here and we can pick any of these. This is missing a channel. How am I missing a channel? Did I miscount? 6? I did miscount. So there's not enough for that. Let's kill this one. There we go. So now we've got this one online. I'm going to shift right click here. And that's going to, you notice, made it Rasta colored. But that's going to take a channel and it's going to store it on here. You'll notice the frequency F485, F485. It's right there. So if I come over here to the one we just put down and I right click it. Oh, I'm holding shift. Dang it. I just messed up. Don't shift right click it. If you just right click it, it's going to copy and it's going to paste that same F485 on here. And now you'll notice that says device online, 32 channels available. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to break this link on this side, which you're like, Wooly, that's going to take the bees offline. Yep, sure will. But we're going to fix that in just a second. And then now that we have this, I'm going to break my bees right there. And then we can bring our dense cable here and here. And that is going to bring the hostile neural networks devices back online. Now, it can't currently see all of our other stuff that we have going on, but we're going to place a bunch of other P2P channels to connect all of this stuff up. I'm going to just do some of that off the camera because this can get a little confusing watching P2P. And I don't know if I'm going to be very good at explaining all of it, but the general gist of what we need to do now to get our stuff working the way it was before is, let's see, how many channels are in use right now? There are currently 33 channels in use. So if I can kill one channel that's being used somewhere over here, which I think I know where to kill 2. This will make a great demonstration for us. So I can kill 2 with these buses right here. That kills 2 channels that are being used over on this remaining thing. So now if we go look, we should be down to 31 total channels. Sweet. So what we can do, we're going to take our controller out, and then I'm going to get some dense cable, and we are going to come out this way with dense. We're going to bring dense cable out over here to our main line, if you will. One more. Okay. And we're going to take another P2P tunnel, place it down, and then, oh gosh, we almost screwed up, Wooly. You almost lost your thing. Let's make an item frame. Item frame. Oh, I can't make one because I just took everything offline. No. Okay, well, sacrificial memory card. We'll fix it later. I'll show you how to fix it. So we're going to shift right click and we're going to grab another P2P channel. And we're going to assign it to this one. So we've loaded it. Now those two should be linked on the same frequency. And all we have to do to get our entire network back up and running is connect this to that side. Everything's still operational. And now we're only using 2 channels on this main line, but we actually have 31 channels there and 16 channels here, all being used, but on the main cable it says there's only 2. That's because we're actually working off this giant ring, and all we're using this for are piggyback channels to get our data from one side to the other. So these are like little portals that just carry all your AE2 across this backbone at minimal channels and allows everything to connect. So now if we Shift E, we can get back into our storage. We can make whatever we want. Our entire base, with the exception of bees over here, poor bees, they got all lonely. We just need one more P2P tunnel. So let's get bees brought back online together. We're going to go dense cable right here. And then we've got this little cable right there. So let's just come over 1, 2 more. We can then take our, we can then take our P2P tunnel. We can go right up here onto this dense cable. Wait, that's not dense cable. How many of y'all caught that and were yelling at me? Dense cable. There we go. And now we can put this P2P tunnel facing the dense cable. We can bring over a regular Fluix cable. Let's come pick another one of our P2P tunnels that we've already hooked up. This is why I like to set a bunch up, because then when you need a channel, you just come grab it. And then we're going to put this one on there. And now everything, and I do mean everything that was online before, is back online and up and running. And it is at the cost of 3 channels on this cable. That's awesome. So before we get too far, now that our system's working, item frames, we need 3 of them. Let's just make like 10. And then we're going to need some memory cards too, so that we, just in case an accident happens, the reason I like to save these is just in case you were to ever break the one on this side, you don't have it to copy from anymore. And if you shift right click the other end, that device is unique and is going to give you a different frequency than the original one over here did. So this one we have in our hand now, 3D, 3F, is actually for our bees. So if I take an item frame and I just slap it right beside this P2P tunnel, I can put this memory card here. If I ever break that end, I can link these back up by grabbing that card and pasting that config onto the one that I broke over here. So it's really nice. And then by putting it on the endpoint, you know which one goes to that cable. So this one goes with this tunnel. I know that because it's right next to it. Now, the ones that we messed up earlier, we just have to be real careful not to break them on the other side. I can grab out a piece of stone right here, and we will put it on this side. We'll put an item frame there. Let me grab one of these other memory cards. And this one is Foxtrot 845. So we're going to shift right click right here to steal that Foxtrot 845. And we're going to stick it to this one. And then we have one more to do. So you get the idea. We're going to put this one here. And then if we come down to the place where we got those channels from, right here. Wait, nope, that's not the right ones. It is this one. 98 Delta 7. And then we can verify it by looking at this. 98 Delta 7. Put the card there. And now we are good to go. In case any of this gets broken on accident or anything, we have the channels for our P2P devices right here. We can just relink them up. Everything starts working. And with that, we went from being like, oh my gosh, trying to figure out channels over here on this side to we can get channels wherever we need them, anywhere around our base. This is somewhat centered up in our claimed chunks. this right here. So if we need to bring a cable off the backbone this way to go set stuff up over here, we just bring it out here, link up any of the P2P tunnels. We can add more as we need to. We can even link more P2P tunnels on the outsides of the faces with dense cable here. Just use cable anchors to keep things separated so that you've got enough channels on each run, and you're good to go. We'll go over some of that when we get closer to it the next time, but let's get back on track and look at the clipboard. P2P tunnels and subnets. I've still got time left on the recording. Not much, y'all, but that is awesome. Wireless A2. So these wireless connectors, they're made in the crystal assembler. You guys know the drill. Let's make a pattern. It looks like we don't have a pattern for wireless boosters. It also looks like we don't know how to make ender dust. Okay, so now there's our patterns. This is a processing pattern for the crystal assembler. And the ender dust is a processing pattern for the inscriber. And then this is a plain Jane crafting pattern. We're getting low. So now we should be able to make the wireless connector. They craft in pairs, and then it says status unconnected. I don't know how to connect this. Let's see if we can figure it out. Click to wireless connectors that you want to link with the wireless ME setup kit. Okay, cool. Let's make one of those. Oh, God. No. Oversight, Wooly. You need singularities. We can't set these up today. Sorry for getting your hopes up on the wireless piece. I missed the singularity. I was like, how does this not take a singularity? Well, the controller took a singularity. So I'm going to leave these on the list. We're going to put these in the don't get distracted barrel, and I'm going to do the walk of shame there. We can put an X. Nope. Can we get into automating the energizing orb? All right, our basic energy cube is still charging up, but all of our stuff is tidied in our inventory. We're going to pull out these energizing rods. We have 5 total, and we're going to set them up. It doesn't really matter which face you set them up on. Honestly, this is going to bug me. Let's move this over 1 block just because, it's not where I want it to be. So let's grab this out, and that charged way faster in my inventory. Actually, we could come directly in line with that. Should work just fine. And we'll put this ender gate on. We really need a better tier, but we need the energizing orb to get to better tiers of ender gate, which is kind of why we're doing this. So we're going to bring our hardened cables out, and we just need to make sure that this is set right still. So you are only an input, and then you are an output on that side. Awesome. So now let's get ourselves a little ring-a-ding made. I should have put this 1 block over. It's fine. We'll go this way. Go like this. And right there. Okay. So now we need to get our energizing orb and our rods on here. So here are the rods. We're going to put the rods on. These are what do the charging up. We'll work on upgrading these as we get our materials going and automated for power, which is why we're doing this. So now we don't need a whole lot, but just to be safe, we're going to bring some dense cable out past this for whatever else we may put over here. And then we're going to bring a standard piece of Fluix Smart cable down right here. And that is because we're going to need to do some importing and some exporting into probably laser IO. Which actually, this is kind of in the way, but we'll just work with it. We'll bring one off the back and then bring it down, and that'll give us room to get our laser node in here for the automation we're going to be doing with it. So let's grab out said laser node, and it's going to go right. Oh, for the laser node, we need we're going to need a buffer chest. So that's fine. We'll do the chest right down there with a pattern provider, and we'll do laser nodes like that. Let's grab out our energizing orb. it's going to go on the face of this laser node. It's not actually going to connect to it. It's going to kind of float there. And I like that because it's in the middle here and we can see it when we're looking at it working. And now we need a pattern provider. There's lots that you can energize. I don't know if it calls for an extended one, but when it's automated and you got all the resources, I'm just going to go with a big boy. We're going to make this a flat one. And then we need a barrel or a chest of some kind. Let's go with a sophisticated one because we can upgrade it. And then let's go rename this, and we're going to call it Energizing Orb. So let's go to our anvil upstairs. Oh, missed it. Turn off hover, please. There we go. We've got an anvil over here. I could have made one quicker than I got up here. And we're going to call this Energizing Orb. And then that way, when we see this pattern provider, like we did it before, we'll be able to know what it is, even though it's actually only connected to a spruce barrel. So let's toss down our buffer chest and our pattern provider. And then now we first need to start with the patterns. What is it we want to energize? Well, one of the first things I want to energize is the, Ender something or another. It's the square looking thing from Powa. So let's do this. Let's go at Powa. There it is. Ender core. This is one of the first things I want to get us a pattern in for. So let's get over into our pattern encoding terminal and let's click on it. So it's only a processing pattern, and the only thing it knows how to make so far is the Eye of Ender. So we need to teach it to make dielectric casing, which needs to know how to make these, and it needs to know how to make the others, this one's. And then what else does it need for the Ender core? It also needs tiny capacitors. And then it also, since tinies are made from basics, it needs basic capacitors. Then it also needs to know how to make dielectric paste. We're out of patterns. Oh no, this is a problem. But sure, you can figure out how to make coal. We're gonna need another pattern provider and a molecular assembler. Now, the processing pattern that we made initially that we're doing all this for, get back on track, Wooly. It's going to go in here. So now, in theory, when it requests it, this should be able to send all of that out. This needs to be a full block. For me to be able to send back to this pattern provider, we need a full block pattern provider. Shoot. That's fixable, though. That's fixable. So we're going to come and just bring it down here. We're going to convert this back to the big boy. We're going to put it on this side of that chest. And then we're going to put our pattern back in it. And the reason for that is I need to be able to laser the return into here. And with how it was, I wasn't going to be able to laser it. So now we have our pattern for the first thing we want to automate in here. We've got to tell the lasers what to do with the drops to get it back into the system. So did I pull out all the other pieces? I did not. Let's grab out, we don't need a connector because we're not going any long distances. So the first thing we need to do with Laser IO to make sure all your stuff works is you got to link all of your nodes that you need to be able to interact with each other. So shift right click on one and then right click any of the other ones that you're going to need. Then now that we have our card holder in our inventory, I can just right click on this face. It'll show me the cards. So this is our input barrel. This one is going to need to be able to extract from the input barrel and input back into this one. And then we're going to send things out into there and all of that. So I want this to be able to extract anything from this barrel. It doesn't need any limitations. It just needs to extract. And then we're going to filter here on the insert. And we're going to tell it to insert. Actually, yes, we're going to tell it to insert because if we do more than one craft, we're going to want to be able to limit it. And then to that effect, we're going to need a counting filter so that we can tell it you only need 1 or 2 or whatever of these in there. And so now we have a counting filter that's going to insert. And if we come look at our recipe for our ender core, let's bookmark those 3 items. It needs to put in 1 of each of these. And then that is on that channel. Default, insert. That's just our faces. Priority, ignore MBT. There we go. So that's only going to put in 1 of each of those to the way I understand it, I think. I don't know. We'll see if it works, okay? So it should insert all of those. Now on this face, we also need an extract card, but we have to set a filter. It can just be a basic one, and it is only allowed, so allow to extract the ender core, because that's the only recipe we have in here. And then this one needs an insert right here, and it also should need a filter, I believe. So we just right click, we're going to put a filter in and tell it that it can insert the ender core in there. Now, cross your fingers and toes. Let's tell the system to make an ender core, and let's see what happens. Ha-ha! It works! Now, I don't know how this is going to scale with adding a bunch of recipes, but for the one thing that I wanted it for right now, it totally works. So, I know this is going to have been a long episode, and I say so a lot. Sorry about that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I hope you're able to learn something from it. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you're not already, go ahead and subscribe. Ring the bell for future notifications. And we'll see y'all tomorrow for Saturday morning coffee and crafting, 8 a.m. Mountain, 10 Eastern. Come join us. We stream. It's fun. We automated Nature's Aura, okay? I know this is a long video and you're probably not still listening, but you missed it. It took us 2 and some change hours, but we automated the Nature's Aura stuff we need for the lily pads of fertility, and I'm super excited about it. So, bye-bye.